Hi guys, my name's Andrea, but it used to be Andrew. I'm 22, and I've known for a long time now that I haven't been comfortable living as a man. So now, I'm a woman. Surprise, Dad! My first love was makeup. My mom and older sister were obsessed. They all read fashion magazines and celebrity gossip about movie stars and pop singers. Linda, my sister, was so glamorous. She'd dress up in the most outrageous outfits and lip sync to all the hits. My dad was always gone at work, so I usually hung out with Linda. And I watched reality shows and Brad Pitt movies and soap operas. One night, when my sister Linda was out at a party, I snuck into her room and went through her makeup. I was just goofing around, putting on lipstick and eyeshadow. But she came home early. I couldn't leave, and I couldn't wipe the lipstick off my face, so I hid in the closet. I was terrified of what she might say. She went straight for the closet and opened the door. I closed my eyes, waiting for her to scream or yell or call me some kind of name. But she didn't. I opened my eyes, and she finally spoke. "Your mascara's off. Here, let me show you." She didn't even ask. She just accepted. Before I knew it, she was giving me lessons after school. And soon, I was able to do some really cool makeup, like I saw in those tutorial videos online. The only trouble was when my dad started signing me up for every sport you could think of. Soccer, baseball, basketball. And I was awful. It wasn't my thing at all. I think Dad got tired of watching me get thrown around courts and fields, and eventually he just gave up. He never said anything, but secretly, I think he was disappointed. My dad was this burly fireman guy, typical in a lot of ways. He loved sports and beer. How could I tell him that I'd rather shop for dresses than toss the ball around? So I kept it a secret. I dressed in drag at night and kept a suitcase of dresses and wigs under my bed. I felt so supported by Linda that I told my mom about my desire to wear makeup and dress like a girl before leaving for college. She hugged me and supported me, just like Linda. But I still couldn't tell my dad. At school, I started wearing mascara and blush. Meeting new people was nerve-wracking enough, but the makeup boosted my confidence. But not everybody liked my style, and people started making certain comments. You know the names. Sometimes I'd hear them whispered behind my back or shouted from passing cars. I had a hard time connecting to others. Most guys wouldn't talk to me. And the girls that I sometimes hung out with often treated me like a novelty. I was sort of a loner. Until I met this dude who called himself Iggy. He was this really muscular rocker type guy. He was a musician and listened to all these crazy sounding bands and wore wild clothes. I had to admit, I admired his muscles. Everything was a statement to him. I met him at this public speaking class, and when he'd have to speak, he'd talk about the importance of thinking outside the box and flipping the script on society. I found it kind of inspiring. He was immediately open and accepting. In fact, he said he used to wear crazy makeup himself. And in one of his favorite bands was this proto-punk group from New York who used to dress in drag to rock out. They were so cool. The guys in the band talked about how wearing women's clothing was liberating, and they inspired me to wear women's clothes in public if I wanted. Who cares what others think? Listening to this dolled-up rock group reminded me of Linda singing when we were younger. And for the first time in my life, I felt a calling. I convinced Iggy to form a band with me, and I started writing songs. All the hurt feelings I had bottled up from the names people shouted at me came out in the lyrics. Iggy liked my songs, and he helped me recruit other rockers to help us fill out our sound. I got into the image of the band, and I started to create a stage persona. I told Linda all about it, but I still hadn't told my dad. It was odd. Sometimes I'd come home to my apartment, still dressed in drag from practice, and my dad would call. If he only knew that the whole time we were chatting, I looked the way I did, he'd probably be angry or disappointed. I didn't know which would be worse. Linda encouraged me to tell him, But I was his only son, and I felt like I was killing his legacy or something. I just felt like it was something my father wouldn't understand. But the more the band practiced, I began to feel like I was a girl trapped in a man's body. The wild outfits and makeup felt like the real me. And when I took it off and dressed like a guy, that's when I felt like I was wearing a costume. Iggy asked if I thought about transitioning into a woman and having surgery. I'd be lying if I thought I hadn't. I thought about it most days, but hearing someone else say it out loud made me really consider it. So I looked into the procedure. Reputable surgeons only consider reassigning gender if you get approval by a therapist that says it's in your best interest. The therapist I selected was willing to sign off, but it was important that I first live as a woman for 6 months straight, morning, noon, and night. I found a job at this super hip diner that didn't care how I represented myself. I was working and studying and pretty much living as a woman all the time anyway. But I always took off my makeup and put on my mask for my dad. When I'd come home from college, I'd be dressed like a guy again, and I felt uncomfortable. Me and my dad would watch the game together and talk about anything but my love life. One time, I realized there was still some pink nail polish on my fingernails, and I walked around all day with my hand in my pocket, worried my dad would discover my secret. A secret I only kept from him. My therapist told me that I had to speak with my father if she would approve the surgery. He didn't have to like it, but I had to tell him. Iggy agreed with her too. That every time I tried, I chickened out. One day, things came to a head. The band, which we were now calling Lipstick, had our first gig at this rock club downtown. The band was stoked, and we all invited our friends to come see our debut. I made sure to let Linda know, and she was thrilled. I guess she was so excited that she spilled the beans. And my dad was surprised and wanted to know everything. He said he didn't know I wrote songs or sang. He wanted to come see me play. Linda tried to talk him out of it, but apparently our dad seemed so proud, she couldn't stop him from coming to the show. This is what she told me backstage about 10 minutes before we were supposed to go on. Dad would flip if he saw me, and I got so nervous I tried to back out. I was about to tear off my wig, but Iggy stopped me. He told me what a beautiful person I was, and I shouldn't be ashamed to show myself to anybody. And then he pointed out that there was no cooler way to tell my dad who I was than to go out there on stage and give it all I had. He was right. I loved being on stage, and I decided that the time had come to show my dad who I was. I went out there, loud and proud. I sang with all my heart, and the band was on fire. The crowd loved us, and so many people were rushing up to us afterwards that I almost forgot about my dad. I found him later, nursing a beer at the bar. I sat down, still dressed as a woman. He didn't say anything. "Are you disappointed?" I finally asked. "Yeah, I'm disappointed," he said. "I'm hurt." I caught a lump in my throat. The worst thing possible was happening. "I'm hurt that you didn't tell me sooner. I love you," he said, and then wrapped his arms around me and told me how awesome the band was. Apparently my dad was into some of the old punk rock back in the day, and we started to bond over music. My therapist gave me the go-ahead, and with the music I was saving from my job and all the cash Lipstick was making now, I had enough to get my surgery. And now I have fully transitioned into a woman. I learned a really important lesson. What makes a person isn't just their gender or body type or lifestyle. It's who they are on the inside. I was always me underneath the body, but now the whole world can see it. That's the only difference. There's this great saying out there. People don't change, only their costumes do. Make sure to show people who you really are, because how else will you be seen? One night, I was at home working on a new song, and guess who showed up at my door with flowers? It was Iggy. who said that he thought we made beautiful music together and wanted to ask me out on a date. A date? I'm flattered, but also worried. I don't want to ruin what we have, but I'm tempted. I sure like him an awful lot, especially his muscles. We look good on stage together. Maybe we'll look good together in real life. What do you think I should do? Should I go out with Iggy, or should I keep him in the friend zone? Let me know what you think in the comments. And be sure to like and subscribe for more hidden wisdom stories. Remember, when you share our stories, you're sharing wisdom.